people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
What do we do now?
Back to them, or do you want to stay with Donald Trump?
Fuck Joe Biden.
Welcome back to another night of Stick with Koolfrogg. Well, you know, it's a little early, it's a little late. I don't know what's going on. AmericaShirts said he'd be back in a few minutes. That was about a half hour ago. We'll see if he actually joins me here shortly. I don't want to go too far without him because there's so much to go through, and I know he has an opinion on almost everything. That being said, let's see if we can't start this off correct with some fun international news, because you know what's the best way to do it? Go jump right into everything that everybody else is talking about immediately, or go do something else? Yep, that's it. Let's go do something else. So this is Russia claims control of a pivotal eastern Ukrainian province. So this is Russia claimed control Sunday of the last Ukrainian stronghold in the eastern province that is key to achieving the major goal of Moscow's grinding war. The General Staff of Ukraine's military reported that its forces had withdrawn from Lysychansk in Lushansk province. President Volodymyr Zelensky acknowledged the withdrawal, but said that the fight for the city was still raging in its outskirts. If confirmed, Russia's complete seizure of Luhansk would provide its troops with a stronger base than which to press their advance in the Donbass, a region that mines and factories that President Vladimir Putin is bent on capturing in the campaign that could determine the course of the entire war. You know, that's great. That's awesome. But so now they're saying that he actually did actually confirmed that he actually took a particular area, and it's not looking good at all. It's going to look very horrible here really soon. So this is Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu told Putin that the Russian troops with the local separatist militia have established full control over the city of Lysychansk and now hold all of Luhansk. They hold all of it. So there was, I believe, I had a map of the area. Here it is. Let's do this real quick. Show you a map of the area, because you know you need to know where exactly I'm talking about. Let's see if we can't make this a little bit bigger for you. And I believe. And of course, you know, it's their writing, you know, so I can't read their shit. I have no clue what the heck they're even saying. I have no clue. Oh, here it is. It was up here. So they actually seized more general staff and armed forces. Ukrainian army withdrew from the Lysychansk. So it's like now they actually own this other territory. They're going to close this off. There's no way that they're going to keep all this open, because you know there's this big line, this highway that runs straight through here. They're going to go and they're going to try taking all that. Is my assumption. You can see that they're doing certain movements and certain things, trying to expand that area. They want this area. They want all of it. They don't want the whole country. They don't really care about the whole country. But as long as we allow them to actually care about the whole country, they're going to care about the whole country. Let's go back to that article here real quick. And of course, you know, I'm talking about something different than what everybody else is. So everybody going to go over and watch everybody else, which is totally fine. I really don't give a. This isn't for everybody else. I do this show for me as well as America Shirts. That's what we've always done. We're not sitting here trying to make it better for anybody else. As is typical with the descriptions of the Russian statement, characterized by the victories of liberation of Luhansk People's Republic, separatists in Luhansk and the neighboring Donetsk, which make up the Donbass and are home to the significant Russian-speaking population, declared independence from Kiev in 2014, and their forces have battled Ukrainian troops for ever since. Russia formally recognized the self-proclaimed Republic's Day before the 24th of February invasion of Ukraine. Ukrainian and Russian forces fought fiercely for Lysychansk in recent days after the neighboring city fell last week. On Sunday evening, the general staff of the Ukrainian military confirmed that on social media, that its forces had withdrawn from Lysychansk to preserve the lives of the Ukrainian defenders. In his nightly video address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky noted the withdrawal, but he added that Ukraine does not give anything back and vowed to return with a more modern weapon. Citing his forces' success in recapturing their other territory, he promised, "There will be a day when we will say the same about Donbass." Earlier, Zelensky said Kiev's forces were still battling Russian soldiers on the Lysychansk outskirts in a very difficult and dangerous situation. "We cannot give the final judgment. Lysychansk is still being fought for," Zelensky told the news conference in Kiev, given alongside Australia's visiting prime minister. He noted that the territory can move quickly from one side to the other. Russian forces maintain an advantage in the area. He acknowledged calling it a Ukrainian military weak spot. The capture of Lysychansk would give the Russians more territory from which no intensify attacks on the Donetsk. In recent weeks, Russian forces were thought to hold about half of the Donetsk, but it's not clear where things stand now. If Russia prevails in the Donbass, Ukraine would lose not only land, but perhaps the bulk of the most capable military forces, opening the way to the Moscow to grab more territory and strengthen the ability to dictate terms of Kiev. Since failing to take Kiev and the other areas of northern and central Ukraine early in the war, Russia had focused on the Donbass, unleashing fierce shelling and engaging in house-to-house combat and devastated the neighboring Severodonetsk nearby villages. Now details emerged from either city during the battle, which decimated other populations as people were killed and fled. Already, Russian forces appeared to be pushing for the advance of the next, concentrating rocket attacks in the sizable Ukrainian-held city of Slovinsk. There is at least 6 people that were killed. Regional government spokesman Tatiana told Ukrainian TV. Kramatorsk, another major city in the Donetsk region, also came under fire, the regional administration said. Far from the fighting of the east, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese on Sunday visited the town near the capital that was severely damaged early in the war. Albanese called the destruction in European devastating. These are homes and these are livelihoods of the indeed lives that have been lost here in this town. Meanwhile, the exiled mayor of Russia-occupied city of Melitopol said Sunday that the Ukrainian rockets destroyed one of 4 Russian military bases in the city. Attacks were also reported inside Russia. Is revival sporadic apparent Ukrainian strikes across the border? The governor of Volgograd region in western Russia said fragments of the intercepted Ukrainian missile killed 4 people Sunday. On the Russian city of Kursk, 2 Ukrainian drones were shot down, according to Russian Defense Ministry. Kursk's regional governor Roman Starovolt said that the town is Titkino on the Ukraine border came under mortar fire. So, this war is not going to stop. It's going to continue. It's going to continue to the point where, oh, look at what the U.S. is doing. It's pledging 800 million more in arms to Ukraine. They keep on giving more and more money to this and just throwing money at it. Oh, let's give them some more. Let's give them some more. Let's give them some more guns. Let's give them some more arms. Let's give them some more tanks and drones and missiles and whatever they want for no godforsaken reason whatsoever. It's so disturbing right now that they have to feel the need to continue doing this shit. But, we're just going to sit here and we're going to take it because, what else are we going to do here in the West? Absolutely nothing. Because there's just absolutely nothing that we're going to do. Nothing. If you think that there's something that we can do to actually change the U.S. government from funding this shit, give me an idea. Give me an idea, because there's absolutely nothing that I can think of that would actually change any of this. Russia-Ukraine war. West must rethink their approach to Russia opinion. So again, this is from the Jerusalem Post. This is just an opinion piece. It says the war in Ukraine is a wake-up call that sharpens the West needs to recalculate the path and formulate the coherent, clear, flexible policy toward the Kremlin and its leaders. Since the outbreak of the war in Europe 4 months ago, the Russian military has been crushing cities in Ukraine and wiping entire communities off the map. It is already clear that the Russian war machine is changing the fate of the region for good, and the impact of the conflict reached far beyond Europe's borders. The war has turned into a localized struggle against Ukraine and the Ukrainians into an intense geopolitical, ideological struggle, and is reaching well past Europe's borders. It has morphed into a global, violent, and uncompromising struggle between Russia and the West, between an authoritarian regime and the democratic countries, between freedom and dictatorship, whose purpose is to alter the current world order. This brutal struggle is sharpening enormous gaps that exist between conflicting values and between Washington and Moscow's opposing stances and interests. While the struggle unites and consolidates NATO and the European Union, NATO. I'm so sick of NATO. We sit there and we want to be friends with all the other countries so that way when something happens, we must defend them. It's ridiculous bullshit. It also reinforces the laxity of the Biden administration and the weakness of the American policy. This lax stance is undoubtedly the main catalyst influencing Putin's aggressive policies and one of the critical factors spurring him to carry out murderous actions and defeat Ukraine without fearing Western intervention. And thus, even though it's not easy to admit the head of the Kremlin is the person currently directing events in Europe and influencing trends and processes taking place around the world. All this is happening despite Russia's international isolation and shrinking its economy and the Russian military's strategic and logistic failures. Putin is driven by a tremendous passion of power, dark desires, Russian sentiment, and megamaniacal yearning to return to the days of the czars and the Russian Empire. He is sowing hatred and pushing to create divisiveness and polarization without Europe and across the globe. While the governments of Europe and around the world are flattering him and showing signs of fatigue and the indifference of the moves and head of the Kremlin to redrawing a map of relations, interest, and balance of power of the international arena. At the same time, we cannot ignore the strategic gaps, misjudgments, and the destructive effects of the war, as well as the long-term geopolitical security and economic consequences. The cold truth must be spoken out loud. The war of Europe is not a war of occupation, nor is it limited to the issue of security of Ukraine and other countries in the region. It is a war of attrition that Putin is leading against American hegemony and the global domination and influence that is taking place simultaneously on several fronts. This is a blatant violation of international law and seriously undermining the foundation of democracy and aims to alter the status quo of the existing world order in which the international community is based. President of the European Commission, Ursula Gertrude von der Leyen, addressed This mattered last month in the World Economic Forum meeting in Davos, Switzerland. Moreover, she declared at the end of the session of the leaders of Germany, France, and Italy, and the President Zelensky in Kiev, that the EU would officially be providing support for Ukraine as well as recognizing its candidacy for the EU membership. The facts speak for themselves. As the war escalates and Russia continues to wipe out entire cities and provinces and kill tens of, even hundreds of thousands of people, millions of Ukrainian citizens have fled from the country. 6.5 million refugees and 7 million displaced persons have fled their homes indefinitely, totaling 1/3 of the country's population. This shatters Ukrainians' neutral stance, which is held since achieving independence in 1991. This is catastrophic geopolitical security of humanitarian crisis in the highest proportion and like which we haven't seen since 1945. It threatens the stability of international since 1945. Do we remember what happened in 1945? That was World War II. What? Who fighting? Oh, yeah, that's right. We were fighting Nazis, right? Let's not talk about that. It has reached a historic point in no return, in which many European countries, including Georgia and Moldova, have applied to join the EU, and countries like Sweden and Finland are preparing to join NATO. Again, a couple more countries joining NATO. That's not going to help anything. All it's going to do is it's going to bolster more hatred and divisiveness. The ridiculousness of this world right now is beyond the pale. I'm so sick of hearing about everything. But if somebody doesn't read it and actually go out there and actually explain any of it or try to understand any of it, ain't nobody else going to either. It's important to explain that beyond the depth of paradigm shift in the traditional perception of the European countries, we're dealing with an extremely strategic domino effect. This war is triggered by an accelerated militarization and deployment of arms, which has led to an increased defensive budgets, which have risen to 2% of the GDP in all these countries, totaling a $200 billion in military expenditures. Moreover, this military intensification is leaking outside the continent's borders and is leading to an escalation of global nuclear arms race, as seen in the nuclear tests being conducted by North Korea in an effort to draw international attention. Oh, really? Yeah, didn't we just hit on that within the last week or whatever, that China is actually doing things themselves and they're moving arms over into the Pacific Ocean area or whatever, and now all of a sudden North Korea is doing some other testings and nuclear arms. Seriously, this is not going to be good. This isn't going to be good at all. I'm not going to read this last part because the last part actually really seriously gets into, or the next part really gets into some stuff that we really can't talk about. This article will be dropped in the description. Anything else that wants to be read out here, please read it. Pay attention to what's going on, folks. There's so much happening right now, and nobody's paying attention to it. It seems as though, as opposed to worrying about these world tensions and things that are happening, we're all sitting there concerned about, what's happening here in the States only, and we're not paying attention. We're not paying attention at all on what is actually causing gas prices to actually rise. Joe Biden. Where is AmericaShirts? He did say that there was some things going on. Let's see here. Oh, I didn't realize let's put the flag back there, huh? So, I was digging through trying to find stuff to actually talk about today, and well, that one is here. This one we need to wait for a little while. And yeah, let's go this way. Let's bring it to the States. We'll talk about the stuff that's happening. It says there's one person watching me from Twitch. You can leave something in chat. I'll totally talk to you. Uh, Here's an article from Breitbart. It says video young Americans pledged not to celebrate the 4th of July. Young Americans who said that they enjoy cookouts and watching fireworks with friends and family on the 4th of July nevertheless pledged not to celebrate Independence Day, not to respect the indigenous peoples groups, out of respect for the indigenous people groups, in the video released in Campus Reform. Quote, I do not like the rah-rah and the flags and the patriotism and the independence part, but I do enjoy the fact that there are fireworks, one person told Campus Reform's Emily Fowler. Fowler went on to the National Mall to conduct a social experiment to test if anyone would pledge not to celebrate the 4th of July when pressed on respecting indigenous people. Quote, Independence Day kind of celebrates our country's founding, right? And when America was founded, unfortunately, a lot of indigenous. Yeah, kid's not happy. Good thing mom's there. Unfortunately, a lot of indigenous peoples groups were thrown out of their homes. Do you think it's respectable to celebrate 4th of July in light of that? I actually don't, one young person answered. After being asked if it was disrespectful to indigenous people groups to celebrate the 4th, another person answered, in a way, yes. Would you sign the pledge to not celebrate the 4th out of respect for the indigenous people groups? Fowler asked, in which one person said, I would be willing to sign that, yes. The individual who previously admitted to enjoying watching fireworks on Independence Day then signed the pledge and told her friend, and we are not going to watch the fireworks, at which her friend replied, okay, which is freaking stupid and ridiculous. Yeah, you don't need fireworks to celebrate the 4th of July or Independence Day, whatever you. Seriously, people, seriously, you're going to go and sign this piece of paper that says that you're not going to do it because you're going to be ignorant to the point of why we're able to actually be here in this country as free as we are. It's very upsetting. It really is. It's so upsetting and disturbing in so many areas of life. I'm just sickened by the ridiculousness and grossness. So to actually kind of lighten the mood a little bit, it says amidst America's attempted destruction, the Song of Freedom reminds us why July 4 will never be canceled. It's Independence Day weekend, and I am thrilled and proud to have an opportunity to sing some of my favorite patriotic tunes as a part of the worship team at my church. The last several years of the July 4th celebration have been difficult ones for a number of reasons, but it's not because my pride in being an American or my patriotism has diminished. I'm grateful that I was never raised to hate America or to doubt the inherent good, despite the tactics of these government administration to reflect otherwise. America in its founding is inherently good, and that's given me and my family much of a grateful for. We are starting with a melody song. My country, 'tis of thee, America the Beautiful, God Bless America, the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and the Star Spangled Banner. I've delighted in these songs, and sang them in gusto since I was a child. Not only because of the lyrical brilliance, but because as a singer, they are challenging and fun. These songs testify that my love for America is gratitude in the country built on the foundation of constitutional liberties and freedom from tyranny in every stripe. As a writer and songwriter myself, I'm always fascinated by the song's origin and those powerful tunes with a weight in not only heritage, but homage to God. Every song also incorporates proclamation, a petition, and plea for God's help in living up to the maintaining this republic. My Country, 'Tis of Thee was written 1831 by pastor named Samuel Smith. The patriotic hymn, which is also known as America, became the first American national anthem in 1831 before the adoption of the Star Spangled Banner. The words were written in Baptist clergyman Samuel Francis Smith, 1808 to 1895. And for the melody, he used the music of a British national anthem, God Save the King. Smith claimed to have written the verses in 1832, but his memory still has been amiss, as they're known to have been printed a year earlier for a children's 4th of July celebration in Boston. This is a song that the renowned. Hey, Slade. Yeah, absolutely. Biden is worse than Jimmy Carter. This is a song that world renowned contralto Marian Anderson, Concerto Marian Anderson chose to sing the Lincoln Memorial in 1939 after the Daughters of America Revolution refused to allow her to sing the Constitution at Constitution Hall at the time when the systemic racism actually existed in the country. Anderson bravely chose to be the tip of the spear in slicing through the discrimination and unequal standards embedded in the culture. What's up, Slade? How you doing, man? Um, Quote, the essential point about wanting to appear in a hall was that I felt I had the right as an artist. I could see that my significance as an individual was small in this in this affair. I had become, whether I liked it or not, a symbol representing my people. We're going to actually listen to this. It's only a minute and 51 seconds. I'm not sure where America Shirts really is at the moment. Eventually, he should probably show up. He said he was having some issues and said he'd be back in a minute.
The nation's most impressive Easter demonstration. 75,000 massed before Lincoln Memorial to hear Marian Anderson, colored contralto, make her capital debut at the great Emancipator Shrine. Refusal of the DAR to let her use their hall fanned a countrywide controversy, with this great gathering as the climax. The singer was invited by Secretary of the Interior, Ickes, who attends with Secretary of the Treasury, Morgenthau. Spectators include Supreme Court Justice Black, New York Senator Robert Wagner, and a host of notables. Here to listen to the voice acclaimed by many as the finest in a
Wonderful, exciting. That's a voice. That's a straight up voice. She knew what she was doing. Let's see. Those fools just cry racism so they don't have to focus on fixing actual problems. Exactly. That's the only way that you can actually feel good about themselves, is to actually point at the white man and say, "Oh, you're racist." The Queen, Aretha Franklin, also sang the song at Barack Obama's 2009 inauguration, while this former president was shameful of his hatred of America and continues to cause untold damage to the country. Aretha Franklin's powerful voice and her own love of country cannot be denied. I'm not going to listen to it again. Franklin sang the first and final verse. The song was evolved over the years, the verses added by abolitionists and for the Washington Centennial. America the Beautiful most beautifully encapsulates the proclamation petition. The plea resident of the patriotic music, Catherine Lee Bates, first wrote it as a poem after being revitalized and inspired by magnificent views of Pikes Peak in Colorado. America the Beautiful was inspired. No, was inspired in view from the top of the Pikes Peak of Colorado in the summer of 1893. Poet Catherine Lee Bates was teaching English in Colorado College in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Later, she remembered, one day, some of the other teachers and I decided to go on a trip to 14,000-foot Pikes Peak. We hired a prairie wagon near the top. We had to leave the wagon and go to the rest of the way on mules. I was very tired, but when I saw the view, I felt great joy. All the wonder of America seemed displayed there, and the sea-like expanse. The poem, Pikes Peak, was first published in the church periodical and the Congressionalist, while several pieces of music were used to accompany the words. It is an 1882 hymn composed by Samuel A. Ward, a church organist and choir master, that ultimately stuck. This was published in 1910 and became America the Beautiful that we know of today. The end of which stanza was distinctive plea of God's hand in our country's life and affairs. God shed his grace on thee. God mend thine very flaw. May God thy gold refine. For this patriotic girl, no one has performed the song better than Ray Charles, who sang it all over the world as a testament to what America represents, and what it has become. Charles is distinguished in the song by starting with the third verse, which speaks about our brave soldiers who shed their blood for our liberty, and a prayer for America's continual refining. If I play that, that's going to get struck. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Let's see. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and the mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, still all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. Originally published in 1918 as a part of one of the Irving Berlin's musicals, God Bless America was put in the back burner of 1938 when he revised the song for singer Kate Smith. Berlin also wanted to have more of a unifying message. Here's how the 1918 version had read: God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her to the right with the light from above. Make her victorious on land and foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. Berlin knew he had to change the line to the right of the light from above. The right in politics has come to mean conservative political groups. He wanted the song to brought Americans together, not set Americans apart. And he changed to make her victorious. Since he suggested military conquest rather than a peace song he was shooting for. Berlin succeeded and the song gained in popularity. And did you know that the song has a prelude verse? Everyone knows the chorus, but this verse lifts the chorus to a new level, while also incorporating that proclamation and plea found in these songs. While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to the land that's free. Let us all be grateful for the land is so fair, as we raise our voices in solemn prayer. It says Whitney Houston did a gorgeous and poignant rendition of the prelude verse, included the Battle Hymn of the Republic, written by Julia Ward Howe in 1861, is by far one of my favorite hymns. I used to know every one of the verses by heart. Ward Howe was an abolitionist and an activist who was heartbroken in the visit of Washington, D.C., when she viewed the procession of the troops marching off to war, singing a folk tune called John Brown's Body. The poem has birthed from his experience and set to music of that song. It was later published in the Atlantic Monthly in 1862. Very early the next morning, when the east was still gray, my mother awoke and found, to her amazement, that the lines of poetry seemed to be shaping themselves in her mind. Quote, "Mine eyes have been seen the glory of the coming of the Lord." She lay quite still, and the words went on, grouping themselves into lines, the lines flowing into verses. By and by, the whole poem is complete in her mind. Then she said to herself, "I shall lose this if I don't write it down immediately." She rose at once, found a sheet of paper, an old stump of a pen, which she had had the night before, and began to write down the lines almost without looking, as she had often done while watching by us children in our sleep. Quote, "Having completed this," she says, "I laid down again and fell asleep, but not without feeling that something of importance had happened to me." I don't really want to finish the article. The article will be down in the description. Hey, Dragon Man, how's it going? Let's kind of move on a little bit. I got so much that I have pulled up here for different articles. Go almost anywhere with this. Let's see here. Check this out. So it says Dutch farmers become ungovernable after climate change agreement. It says you want to see it in any of the alphabet networks, but the protest movement is exploding in the Netherlands after the government moved to shut down farms in order to fight climate change. The contentious move, pushed by the World Economic Forum, had enacted as part of the EU agreement to seek the limits of release of nitrogen. So then Dutch protesters are pouring manure on the government offices, flooding streets, and becoming altogether ungovernable. This uprising is a response to the WEF controlled government shutting down farms to save the planet. They're just spraying manure, driving their tractors slowly, blocking traffic on top of bridges, under bridges, everywhere. They're just swarming everything that they possibly can. Look at us starting fires. They're like, nah, you just here, we'll just spread our shit everywhere. And that's what I'm saying. You can see it said that no alphabet network is going to cover this. Absolutely no one's going to cover it. And you can see there again. Again, they're protesting. That's so loud and annoying. But yeah, let's go kick the cop car. Slam him with my sledgehammer. I got 2 sledgehammers. Hey, asshat, how's it going? I don't know what the kicking and stuff is really going to do to these vehicles, but they're like, nah, we don't care what the World Economic Forum has to say. We don't care about what they're actually thinking. We're farmers. We need to farm. We need to actually produce food to live. That's exactly it. That's why. That's what the. Oh, that's so loud. But there you go again. He's just gonna spray crap all over the cop cars. You just spray her shit everywhere. That's what you get when you fuck around. You go fuck around and you try taking away farmers' rights to actually do what they need to do to actually make a living and do what they need to do. Exactly. Slaying the policy is straight so stupid. It is. It's like, why would you? Oh, what's we need to reduce nitrogen emissions, and we need to stop producing food. You can't do that. You can't just stop producing food because, listen, you're like, well, it's hurting the world. No, it's not. We need the food to live. We need the food to live. We need something to eat, man. Like I said, I got so many articles up, it's ridiculous. Let's see, what's this one? Oh. And I have them in no particular order whatsoever. They're just going to be random. Let's give you a better screen, I guess. Economically illiterate Bezos and others bash Biden for blaming gas stations for high gas prices. Chinese state media applauds the president. Of course, the Chinese state media does. Of course, they're going to applaud it because they're like, ha, 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 dumbass. President Joe Biden. Okay, before I go on. Pretty sure those green fools wouldn't live in the style they preach for. No, exactly. None of them do. None of them do. We just went through this a couple weeks ago with Barack Obama going and putting these massive fossil fuel tanks to take care of his mansion that he lives in Martha's Vineyard. Now, I get it. They have their own temperature issues, and yeah, you need to be sure that you have enough to actually heat stuff. And he knows that things are coming down the pipe. He knows what's happening next. He's the one that's pulling the strings on Joe Biden. He knows exactly what's going on, and he's going to go and he's going to do whatever he can to make sure that he's okay and that we're not. Interesting when regular folks don't like police. Yeah, right. So then the article reads, President Joe Biden was taken to task over the recent tweet where he blamed gas stations for sky-high fuel prices, while Amazon founder Jeff Bezos was critical of President Biden's latest scapegoat for record gas prices. Chinese state media applauded it. That capitalism is all exploitation. Yeah, that's exactly what capitalism is just exploitation. Are you sure? Less than 2 weeks ago, President Biden demanded oil companies lower the gas prices to the companies running gas stations and settling those prices at the pump. I won't read the quote. Here, we'll just play it.
The companies running gas stations and setting those prices at the pump. This is a time of war, global peril, Ukraine. These are not normal times. Bring down the price you are charging at the pump to reflect the cost you are paying for the product. Do it now. Do it today.
They have been.
Your customers, the American people, they need relief now. So let me summarize.
But you're not going to summarize. Yeah, right. Gas companies can just go lower gas prices willy-nilly whenever they want because they know what they paid for the fuel. They don't normally mark it up that much. They mark it up like 2 cents from what they bought it. So the gas station actually makes money. Because if the gas station doesn't make money to pay the person that's working there, to pay for everything else that's happening, for the maintenance of the pumps and whatever else, all the little things come out of the 2 cents, two measly little pennies that gas station makes off of each gallon. It's not that much. 2 pennies isn't that much, but 18 pennies surely freaking is. And especially when it starts, every week I've seen gas prices go up, 2 to 4 cents within the week for the last how many weeks period. Yeah, do it now, today. Yeah, just do it without an issue. You don't have an issue. You know what you paid for the gas barrels. Yeah. Maybe he will go for another bike ride. Yeah, right. Fall off of it. Maybe he'll crack his head open this time. or not. President Biden doubled down on the directive of gas companies to lower prices in a tweet. Here's his tweet. My message to the companies running gas stations and setting prices at the pump is simple. This is the time of war and global peril. Oh, this is exactly what you just freaking said. So, you're just going to speak of talking points and you're going to keep on saying the same thing because if that's what we hear, that's what we remember. Wrong. Not all of us are jackasses, Joe. According to the National Association of Convenience Stores, only about 0.1% of the fueling outlets in the country are owned by major oil companies. Exactly. They're small business owners pretty much when it comes down to it. Right. We pay for all of their expenses and their fuel and all that other. They don't care. They don't care about us. They really don't. We're the carbon that they're trying to eliminate. NACS also noted that gas stations make a 10 to 15 cent profit on a gallon of gas. No, they don't. They only make 2 to 4, and it's dependent on the gas station and its particular location. Because if I go to one gas station in town that's in the center of town, it's about 2 cents cheaper than the one that's sitting on the highway, right next to the interstate. Oh, look at that! It's AmericaShirts.
Howdy. Sorry for the delay.
You're fine.
And some weirdness come up there.
I figured for what you were saying earlier, they had to been something. So we went through. We're about 6-7 articles in or whatever. We went through some Russian Ukraine stuff.
Oh, aloha there, Dragon Man. What's up?
Yeah, Dragon Man, Slade
Hello,
Raiders here.
Isolator.
And it seems like everybody else is currently streaming something else at this point in time. Oh, it looks like there's 3 people watching. Who else is watching? Come talk to us. There's somebody sitting over on Twitch watching us.
Nice.
Right. So let's see. We talked to Russia, Ukraine. What else did we talk? Oh, I talked about some song of. I talked about the songs of freedom and stuff or whatever. For America and these jackholes that are out there that are all sitting there saying that they don't and they won't celebrate the 4th of July because of racism.
Racisms.
So then we're currently talking about gas prices. Gas prices that Joe Biden decides to think that each gas station can go and lower the prices right now. You've heard this one, right? This particular where he's standing on front of the. You've heard this one, I know. You have.
Yeah.
The companies running gas stations and setting those prices at the pump. This is a time of war, global peril, Ukraine. These are not normal times. Bring down the price you are charging at the pump to reflect the cost you are paying for the product. Do it now. Do it today.
Oh yeah, you're right, Slade. We talked about some of the poems that were written over time that actually are just wonderful poems that were written for the United States of America.
Oh, it's what's his face? Tar. Whatever. Where does he? He's from like Road Plows Discord.
Tar. Yeah, he come from Road Plows Discord, but yeah, he's
What's up?
He's a very intelligent guy. How's it going, my man? Good to see you. So we did talk about some of the beautiful poems that had been written for these wonderful states of these wonderful United States of America, such as the Star Spangled Banner, My Country 'Tis of Thee, all these other
Sweet land of liberty.
America the Beautiful, yeah. we read some good poems out, and we had some fun with it or whatever. I played one of them, one of the originals, a couple of the songs that I didn't actually play, and then I kind of cut the article short because I'm like, well, these will all be down in the description down below. Oh, and then we hit Dutch farmers. We hit on the Dutch farmers spraying manure, punching cop cars, doing different things.
Yes, of course.
Yes, we kind of hit on that a little bit. Now let's change this. Let's go that way. So then I really didn't have anything set up in particular order. I was just going to go from article to article and just kind of jump around. So it says Dems revealed they don't want Kamala in 2024 while she gaffes and laughs about gas prices. Look at her cackling.
No surprises.
We'll just go down here.
So you'll remember the election happened, but it took a while for it to declare.
Right.
And so
Yeah, we know.
my husband and I were staying in Delaware so we could be near the vice president-elect, president-elect at the time.
She doesn't even know what she's talking about. She's like, the vice president-elect, or that's not me. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. I'm a freaking dumbass bitch.
Yeah, what we need to do domestically, what we need to do to bring down the cost of gas. Well, right? Right?
I seen a meme the other day that said me Googling online how to make gas at home. Okay?
Ooh, don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that.
Hilarious. Why not?
Just don't do that. Don't do that. Don't go try making your own gas at home. Nobody married her. They were forced to. They were forced to because she's like, I have to marry a white man. I'm going to hold you to it because he must have done something to her or whatever that caused her to actually go and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do to you. I'm going to make you marry me.
Allegedly.
Cackling bitch.
If Kamala was a man, you would fit right in. Then again, how do we know she's not? Anyway,
So then as we're dealing with gas prices, did you have
I'm
something
going to
you
have
wanted
to skip for just a second because there's a little more concerning things going on. I'm just going to mute the mic. I'm going to be right back. Hopefully, I'll be right back. Oh my God.
Okay. Sounds good. So what I was going to say is while we're concerned about gas prices, look what happens when you need to fill up your car with electricity. Let's sit in line for 8 to 10 hours waiting for a space to plug in my Tesla. Fucking stupid. This is what they're gonna do, and they want to actually have enough stations to plug in enough cars in the future when we actually go to expand and have every car become electric by 2030. Look at all the dumbasses sitting there, and they're like, well, it takes me 25 to 45 minutes to charge my car. We're gonna sit in line. Eventually, they're gonna be sitting in line. Look at this guy. He's like, "Yup, an 8-hour wait to charge an electric vehicle in California. That's what you meant, Joe? Add more cars, and it will be 24-hour wait." Yeah, exactly. People are gonna be like, "I can't make it to work today. I ran out of electricity. My battery in my car died. I can't make it. I'm sorry." I'm still sitting here recharging. It's just gonna be so stupid. Dragon stupid Washington State is outlawing gas cars 8 years from now. Yeah, California Washington, Minnesota, all these Democratic stronghold states, Illinois. There's just going to be so many of them that are going to be like, oh, yep, you need to have electric cars. There's not going to be enough electric car stations to be plugging these cars in. Now, the thing is that nobody really seriously thinks about when it comes to charging their electric cars is what they're freaking plugging into. What's on the other side of that pump? It's not just coming out of the freaking imaginative nowhere at all. It's coming from somewhere in particular. That coal power plant down the road. That big one that supposedly emits so much pollution and is so hard on the economy, and it's the worst thing in the world. It's so dirty, blah blah blah. I get that. I understand that it's dirty. I understand that it's not always the best thing to do to actually, there's better fuel options around in this world, like nuclear power. Power options are abundant, but we're going to sit there and we're going to stay with the archaic, and we're going to be like, well, now everybody needs to buy an electric car, and you plug into the same fucking coal power plant that everybody runs everything else off of. You're not saving the earth. You're making it worse. Dumbasses. Yeah, the big bad coal. Yeah. That one. It's just fucking stupid. The idiocy of anybody thinking that an electric car is going to be better than their gas powered car ever is just, it's so fucking stupid. Stop it. You're still charging all your vehicles off of the same coal power plant that I'm running my air conditioner in my house off of. Or everything gets run the same way. It's stupid beyond belief. Absolutely. Like I said, I have so many articles up and I have no particular rhyme or reason tonight. I just kind of I ran out of time and I wanted to share some certain things, and I'm like, oh, that looks like fun. Oh, sure, we'll just put it here. Here's a good one. Here's from my home state of Minnesota. Ilhan Omar booed off the stage in Somali Independence Day concert in Minneapolis. Oh, let's just go straight to the boo because it's freaking hilarious.
Don't do this, please. No, please.
They're all sitting there like, yeah, ooh, come on, cheer with us. Yay! This is a Somali area of Minneapolis where Obama had dumped like 80,000 people in. This is the area that she runs, and this is a concert for them, for their own people, and her audience is booing her because they know that she's the worst. She's just the worst. She's not the person for this job. She never will be the person for this job. And as long as people continue to vote for this type of idiocy, we're going to still see this kind of shit. And these people, all these people that are watching this are just booing the shit out of her. Will not.
On behalf of Afro-Delhi, we want to welcome Sultan to Minneapolis.
Exactly, Slade. It's wonderful to see them eat their own when because you know damn well all these jackasses all voted for. And now they're all sitting there like, no, boo, you suck. You suck, bitch. You say Asshat put up a video about her? Asshat, you have a channel? Are you still with us? If you're still with us, you totally come back in here and we'll hit up your channel and we'll. Um, huh. Why can't I? Can I see your channel? Everybody else says I can go to their channel. Huh. I'm interested. I'm very interested in what this is. Let's see. He has a few videos. That's cool. I thought I subbed to him already. I'm gonna take a quick look and see if I can't find him without screwing anything else up. Oh, there you go, man. 9 subs. I won't unsub to you. If it ever says that I'm unsub to you, you let me know. I want to know if he's still here. If he's still here, we'll ask him if he can play his stuff. If you can play his stuff, that'd be awesome. we'll totally go back to it and play it if we can. Yeah, she was booed for nearly 10 minutes. That would suck. That would be horrible. I couldn't imagine being the person that can't even say a word because the audience won't allow me to.
Okay.
How embarrassing that you have to have somebody else go out and say, hey, please stop for a few minutes so that she can actually say what she needs to say. And then still boo her. She deserved it. She deserves it. Even the band knows. Even the band knows because they're like, oh, come stop. And then they kind of just walk away because they know damn well anything that they say is just going to make them look even worse. They're just be like, nah. I'm not fighting this crowd. Boo. Oh, somebody updated it. They put a compilation video in there. Oh, fun. 2 minutes and 39 seconds of her being booed.
Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Please. No, please.
No, everybody hates that.
Okay.
You horrible react. Just leave the country. Don't come back.
On behalf
If she picks up her seat still and stays in this position, I'm gonna be freaking dipping shit.
so down to Minneapolis. Okay. We don't have all night.
We don't have all night. We don't want to hear anything that comes out of you.
How's everybody doing in Minneapolis? So I'm excited on behalf of Africa.
What's up, nerd? And she's just smiling like, oh, they're booing me. It's okay. Nerd. Happy Somali Independence Day tomorrow night for the first time ever. Doors open at 7. The show starts at 8. She got booed for a whole 10 minutes straight. That's freaking gold. When her own freaking constituents hate her, that's not good. That's not good at all. Not one little bit. So let's see here. This one I'm gonna actually bump to the end. And this one I'm gonna bump to the end. Let's see. There's reasons because AmericaShirts is temporarily not with us. And I know that there's a couple things that he has to say about a couple of the articles. So Omar and Cackles 2024. Oh my God. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if that was actually the case, that Omar and Cackles actually picked up anything? Presidency? Oh my God. I could not imagine. I seriously, that's the worst thing that could ever happen. Let me check this out. Kid Rock comes out. If you're anti-gun, you don't get to celebrate the 4th of July. You'd have never fought back. Enjoy Pride Month. I can't say the last word because we're on YouTube. But that's exactly the truth. And Kid Rock coming out and saying it, that's the best. Oh, awesome, Tar. You have a wonderful night, man. They'll probably try to run Newsom. Are you kidding? I hope not. I really do. I mean, as much as I don't want Joe Biden to be there, I don't want anybody else to be there either. This one needs to be shifted. Eventually, AmericaShirts will come back. He's just dealing with some personal family issues. Here, let's do this one. Look at that. Over 60 shot and 15 fatally in a violent July 4th weekend in Chicago. They finally figured out that they need to actually talk about this to get it to stop. Yeah, booty judge. There's going to be a runoff, you know damn well. There's going to be more than, just like they did in 20 or whatever, where they had 15 people standing on stage all calling each other racist pieces of crap. Cuomo would have been their guy, but they know how that went. Yeah, that guy. Yeah. Yep, I got you. I knew where you're going with butt plug. I knew exactly what butt plug means. You know, the interesting one is everybody that's here, ain't nobody a mod. None of you. So I have to actually go accept your stuff. No offense to anybody that didn't get selected. If you want to get selected as moderator, say you want to be selected as a moderator. But Slade has been very, very with me for a while, and he's actually helped me out. He's actually been here and listened to us almost on a regular basis. So there you go, Slade. You get a wrench. Anybody else want a wrench? You got to say something. So then let's read this article here real quick. It says the July 4th holiday weekend is already proven to be a violent and deadly across Chicago. Over 60 people have been shot, 15 fatally since Thursday at 5 o'clock. Chicago. Why did they pick Thursday at 5? Because they have no better. Because if they would have chose Thursday at 4, they would have had to add a couple. Police said one of the homicides occurred Sunday on the 700 block in North Springfield around 10 a.m. According to the police, a 38-year-old man was sitting outside a building when an unknown person got out of the dark-colored car and fired shots. The victim was hit in the chest and the head. Yeah, that's a pretty good shot. A few hours earlier, around 5:30 a.m., in the 7,000 block of South Harper, police said that a 24-year-old man was shot and killed when a person opened fire into a crowd in a backyard. They were having a good old time partying, having fun, and people are so ignorant and stupid. Police said 2 women, ages 24 and 30, were shot multiple times during the same shooting. Multiple times. That's great. We'll get into multiple gunshots here in a moment. Let's see here. What else do I got? Oh my God. Look at this crap. Look at this shit. They're like, well, because racism. Woke Disney to drop racist Splash Mountain named from attraction. Showcased first black princess. Because racism. And what one executive describes as a love letter to New Orleans, Disney is rebranding its Splash Mountain attraction as Tiana's Bayou Adventure. The announcement made on Friday in the Essence Fest of New Orleans, the switchover is set to occur in late 2024 at both Florida Disney World and California's Disneyland as a cross promotion with an animated film, The Princess and the Frog. Disney had indicated in 2020 that it would overhaul an attraction in 2020, sharing the news as protests against racial injustice were roiling the country. Splash Mountain had been based on the Uncle Remus Brer Rabbit story and the company's controversial 1946 film Song of the South. Zippity doo dah, zippity yay. My oh my, what a wonderful day. You know, that song, added People magazine. Tiana's story takes over the ride previously based on the controversial 1946 Disney film Song of the South, which is long before criticized as a problematic portrayal of the post-Civil War South and employing racist stereotypes. In the blog post, Carmen Smith, Disney's senior vice president in creative development, the product content and inclusive strategies, wrote in part that to be able to join New Orleans in the celebration of Black joy as we bring Tiana's story of to its roots is a full circle moment. I'm so proud to realize. Are you? You're so proud to realize that? Smith also noted that the corporation's Imagineers, i.e., ride creators, made numerous trips to Louisiana to field research so as to make sure that the new attraction preserves the heart and soul of the city that inspired Princess Tiana's story. Princess Tiana is Disney's first black princess. Yup, exactly, Slade. Woke trash. Garbage. Stinky, nasty garbage. Sharita Carter, executive producer of the Relevancy Activations of Walt Disney's Imagineering, said that in many ways, Tiana's Bayou Adventure is a love letter to New Orleans, like the musical city that inspired the attraction. Tiana's second act is about a community working in harmony to achieve something extraordinary. In the meantime, New Orleans unfortunately is trending toward becoming the murder capital of the U.S., according to stats cited in Fox 8 New Orleans. Oh, really? Didn't we just go over this? Chicago had how many shootings and how many deaths? 60 shootings, 15 deaths? And you're going to say that you're going to be the capital, the murder capital of the United States? Yeah, exactly, Dragon Man. I'm with you on that one. Everything I grew up in is now socially taboo. I'm totally with you on that. Absolutely. I'm not that far behind you in age. I'm really not. There wasn't cell phones until after I was out of high school. Let's see. Comments posted under Disney Parks blog post that they're not uniformly favorable toward the change. Here's an example. The Brer Rabbit tales are important to Black culture. Retheming this ride is condoning the erasure of authentic Black culture. I understand the need to more diverse representation, but this is possible to achieve this goal without destroying an iconic attraction such as Splash Mountain. A brand new ride should be created from scratch for Tiana. No one argues that. See, right, exactly. I agree with them. Why would you want to give them some worn out bullshit that's been there for fucking years? Wouldn't you want to give her something brand new? Is she not worth a brand new ride? Is that the issue? She's not worth it? Even the 1990s is bad now. Yeah, right. So sad. Why does everything have to be taken away? Why can't Splash Mountain stay and just add new Tiana ride? Thank you for destroying yet another one of the favorite and most dear things about Disney World. It's a shame that Disney is replacing easily the most iconic ride instead of building Tiana a brand new state of the art attraction. I'll definitely miss Splash Mountain and its wonderful music. Don't fix what's not broken. Or you could, educate people about Song of the South instead of burying it and pretending it doesn't exist while you destroy a beloved theme park attraction in the process. Zippity doo dah, zippity yay. My oh my, what a wonderful day. Plenty of sunshine coming our way. Zippity doo dah, zippity yay. Mr. Bluebird. I don't. Why do I know all these words to this? Oh, it's because we were actually taught as a young children that this was cool stuff. Yep, Disney World, Disneyland, no longer magical. And at my age, I still had never actually made it to either one. And now I have no intention of even trying. Ever. Period. Just no reason.
I'm back.
Holy man, you're back. What is going on, my man?
You don't want to know. Nobody wants to know.
We went through quite a few different things here. We talked about Kid Rock in his little statement of if you're anti-gun, you don't get to celebrate the 4th of July. You could have never fought back.
4th of
Enjoy
July.
Pride Month with the big P word after it. The other word for vagina.
Oh,
Yeah, it was very interesting.
it's interesting.
Yeah, I'll never spend another cent on Disney stuff ever again. Exactly. That's what I said. I seriously never been to either one of the attractions, Disney World, Disneyland, Disney, anything else. And being that Disney's in bed with China, I really want nothing to do with them ever, period. I don't want books read to my kid. I don't want any of that. The hard one is Mickey Mouse is a staple, and that's the hard thing. People just they, and now we're dealing with wanting to tear out rides, or they're not tearing out the ride. They're revamping. They're gonna go and revamp the ride. It's just fucking dumb. Let's see, where was I? Oh, as you're walking away, we were showing the line of electric vehicles waiting for a charging station in California. It's like when you actually think about it, you're like, oh, yeah, let's make sure all the cars are electric by 2030. That way, it takes a full 24 hours before you get a chance to get in there. We teased Ilhan Omar for a good 10 minutes, listening to her being booed in her own state of Minnesota by her own constituents. Did you catch any of that? Ever? Any of it?
No.
Did you hear? Oh my God, dude. This is so funny.
Oh, you mean the booing at the
booing.
Oh,
The
yes,
booing of
yes.
Ilhan
I thought you
Omar.
meant like catching your stream here. No, but the booing, yeah, I
I'm
saw
talking
that.
the booing. The booing earlier. You caught that?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there was like 100 cars waiting in line. Here, we'll show you. We'll show you here real fast because we can.
Because we can.
Look at this. Look at all the cars sitting there waiting. All Teslas needing to charge. We're just going to sit in line for hours on end, waiting to get a charge.
Good Lord. And then those people will be sitting there for like an hour and a half.
Well, 20 minutes to 45 minutes to charge a fully depleted battery. So, could you imagine having to wait in line to plug in your car and stand there and wait for it to charge? Yeah.
Jiminy criminy.
Right. So then Elon was booed. We did that.
Elon Omar.
We kind of hit on the over 60 people were shot, 15 fatally in a violent July 4th weekend in Chicago. Like that's something new. So then the woke Disney ride thing or whatever, the racist Splash Mountain being changed, because there's a cross promotion for a new animated film that's supposed to come out in late 2024 called The Princess and the Frog. And the princess is black, so appropriate.
Didn't we already have that movie?
Apparently not.
We had the animated one. The Princess and the Frog. Yeah, the princess woman was black. She kissed the frog. Da da da. Like that was an animated
How
movie.
much are Teslas? Yeah, Teslas are like what, $60,000
Oh god.
easily. Let's see here. What do I got? Random articles. I threw a couple towards the end because I knew that I wanted you to actually be around for them. Here's this one. Millions of bees released after a semi-trailer crash on the interstate. This is as of today, 5:18 Eastern Standard Time. Everybody has to be black lesbians now. Every single body, yep, everybody. If you're not a black lesbian, you ain't nothing. You ain't shit. Millions of bees released in the semi-trailer crash on the interstate. Let's see here. More than 25 million bees were accidentally freed last week when a semi-trailer holding insects overturned on an interstate in Utah. Bees were spotted swarming over Interstate 80 on June 27th after the vehicle containing more than 200 beehives toppled over. The bees stung several people, including the semi-trailer's driver, first responders, and others. The driver and the co-driver, who was in the vehicle, both sustained minor injuries but were transported to the hospital for treatment. Some local beekeepers arrived at the scene and attempted to rescue as many bees they could, but the owner of the hives would later call them off, saying the incident is now an insurance issue. Unfortunately, more is damaged than not, maybe 5% that's salvageable. That's ridiculous. Only 5% is salvageable? Fellow beekeeper Mickey Opifia said, "Every bee counts. You want to run up and see if we can help. There's a lot of them that are dead already, so it's kind of sad." One lane, it's because bees are just like any other whatever. They need to make it back to the hive before they actually dry out. So one lane of the interstate was closed for a few hours as crews tried to clean up the beehives. A hiking trail in the area was also shut down due to the swarm of bees. Utah Highway Patrol Randall Ritchie told the Washington Post that the driver said there was a loud bang prior to the crash, suggesting that there may be a mechanical problem. However, a preliminary investigation found the driver was going too fast through curves, and he was cited for driving at a speed too high for conditions. The trucking company, which had been in contact with the bee's owner, notified firefighters at the incident on Monday. The company said the owner asked that they spray down the bugs with firefighting foam for safety and liability reasons, according to Ritchie. Wasatch Beekeepers Association President Julie Arthur told the Post that the fire suppressant is lethal to bees and that only 10% of them survived. She estimated that volunteer beekeepers saved 2.5 million bees. The bees were to be used for pollination of food crops in West Coast. Oh, what's up, Graham? I couldn't imagine. So 10% is 2.5 million. That's a heck of a lot of bees that died, dude. Anyway, what's Grimsbar up to? Not sleeping? Wide awake. So, and like I said, I had no no lineup in particular on articles. I just threw a bunch of stuff up that I knew I could read out and share, videos that I could share. This is disturbing. Dude just comes walking back into the kitchen. She's like, "Hey, what's going on? Get out of here." Bow.
Oh God,
The
yes,
other
I
one
saw
says,
this.
"Nope. Nope. Not. Get out." That's why everybody deserves to have a sidearm. Every single person.
I mean, watch her head. Like he just like I mean that
Yeah,
was
that
full force.
right.
Maybe
Get
even
out.
broken a bone on her in her face.
She's like, "Get out." Points the gun at him. And he's like, "Oh, damn. All right, fine. I won't assault both of you and destroy your business all at the same time." Because you know dang well he would have done more. Ridiculous asshole. But that's your 2A rights that you should actually have. You should be able to possess for protection at all points in time. Get the fuck out. You can see she get the fuck out of here. Get out of here, you fool. People
Ye-
just come in here and they're like, "This is, did they go and leave?" See you later, Graham. What is?
Oh, by the way,
Oh, that's over. Okay,
were you gonna
what's up?
do something with Mad Koromovo, like gaming or whatever, or was that just like a idea?
Not to. It's an idea that eventually could happen or whatever. He's playing Fall Guys, and he wants to actually get as many people that he possibly can together to actually play, these games or whatever. And I went and I got my Switch going, and I got the game all loaded in. I added him as a friend so that I'm ready to actually go on, as things go. I got my capture card all set up so that way I can record my side of everything. It could be fun. It could be very interesting. I don't know if it was something that was actually supposed to happen today, though. I really don't know. Yeah, exactly, Slade. Good on that lady to have gone. Exactly. I thought this guy was funny. This guy was hilarious to me. It made me smile. I'm like, yes, this is exactly what people actually. I'm not.
I'm not anti-gay. I'm not anti-transgender. I'm not anti any of these things. What I am anti is propagating your worldview on other people's children. If you're gay and you can't have kids, why do you now believe it's your right to go to other people's kids and tell them how to think? Don't come talk to my kid about it. That's my child. I will program my child with my worldviews. I raise them. I pay for them. They're my kid. They're not your kid. And they're not the government's kid. You've decided that having sex with women isn't worth it for you. You don't want to have children. You want to have sex with men. Fine. Your decision and you're entitled to it. That does not give you the entitlement to go to other people's families who did decide to have children and raise them and try and program their children. Leave the kids alone.
Exactly what he said. Leave the kids alone. There's no reason that anybody needs to actually go out there and actually do anything and spread their bullshit on somebody else's children. They're not yours. Leave them alone. It's just like these teachers that are out there. Leave them alone.
Yep.
Exactly, Slade. He got it right on the freaking dot. Leave them alone.
But I mean, this is what this, and I've been thinking about this all week this week, actually. I mean, like, this is what this whole LGBTQ thing has always been about. As it has always been about to get us to accept perversions. It's always been about getting us to accept, like it started with, like sex is a recreational act that you just do on the weekend because you met somebody that you think is hot. And then it moved to, and so if that's what sex is, it's just a means by which to pleasure yourself. Well then, okay, well then two men go off and pleasure themselves with each other. Well, okay. And then it's like, oh, well, why don't we, then eventually it comes to, well, a map wants to, do things with kids. Like it's totally fine. It's just another way that people have pleasure with themselves and other people, right? Like it's just fun. It's just a decision. It's just a whatever. Like, we'll just do whatever we want. It's like, I mean, once you have taken out the idea that sex is between a man and a woman in a marital relationship, again, sex being short for sex, well, obviously, sexual reproduction takes place. Not to say that there isn't things that are pleasurable about that, but at the same time, it's like you take out that aspect of it, and you have no barrier as to what sex is or what sex is supposed to be, and how you're supposed to conduct yourself appropriately in that regard. uh, you have opened Pandora's box, and there is no length that perverted people will not go to do these things. And this has happened in every culture and every society that accepts this. Is it always ends up being, oh, well, that's what the majority of this homosexual movement has been in the United States. The LGBTQ thing has always been about, like, older men going after younger men. Like, that's what it's mostly been. Either that, or it's, and then there's always in the relationship, there's always the more masculine one or the more feminine one, or, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's always a perversion of the reality. It's always a perversion of what should be. And then sometimes it's just outright perversion. And so it's like, at what point are people going to just understand and realize, like, okay, this is a different lifestyle and a different uh, way of thinking of yourself that is not normal, that is not biologically normal, that is not, even culturally normal. And so if you're going to do that, then that needs to be something that you do with that other person that you decide to do it with. And other people don't have to accept that it's a normal and right thing. And I think the more that we talk like it's somehow normalized, the more that we continue to normalize perversions as, like, oh, well, like, well, he's married to another dude, like, okay, that's fine, like just continuing to accept it rather than looking at it as being like, well, okay, that's your decision, but that's still odd, right? Like, there still needs to be some sort of, societal standard as to what the things are, or else we're not even going to have sexual reproduction. We're not even going to have kids anymore. Like, everybody's just going to end up, because that's the thing. And if they will never stop continuing to try to shove things down your throat, eventually it's going to get to the point where everybody's going to be gay or trans or whatever the hell, and we're not going to have children. And society is not going to progress, and things are not going to go on. Obviously, you have to accept the reality that these are the oddballs, and they have to accept the reality they are oddballs. To not shove it down our throat, to not shove it down children's throat. I mean, this is controversial. I know there's an individual that watches this that does have children, but I don't think that even people who are in those kind of relationships should even have children themselves. Because that's a whole other topic. Well, it's not. It's related, but it goes off in a little bit of a differing point of view here, and I don't want to take too long in explaining that, I guess. But
No, you're fine.
but the whole thing of involving children in it, and it's like, well, it's okay, it's normal. It's like, no, it's not normal. It's odd. It's different. And if you're a Christian, you believe that it is immoral and wrong. And so to go off and be like, oh, well, just normalize this, and then, well, that's okay, they can just adopt children. It's like, but
Slade based AmericaShirts.
well, thank you. But it's like, if you're going to involve children in this, even in adoption, it's like, well, then they're looking at a perversion. At what point are we going to sit there and say, this is odd, or this
ever
is
give them an
perversion?
inch, because they will always take the mile. Don't give them an
Exactly.
inch.
I listened to what's her name? Her name is Tammy Bruce. I was watching the Tucker Carlson show one time, and she came on the Tucker Carlson show, and they were talking about in Congress, right? Like, this whole thing of, like, either you're gay or you're not, like, you're born gay or you're born this or whatever. And she just came on his show, and they were talking about in Congress about this, and this is the way society accepts it. It's like, either you're born homosexual or you're born heterosexual, and that's just the way it is. Like, well, you just have a sexuality. It's like, no. Sexuality is not a thing you just decide. Again, you're born with sexual reproductive organs for a damn reason. It's to reproduce. Like, this is biology. It's just like the same thing with transgenderism, right? But see, that's the thing. If we just accept that there are different sexualities, well, then somebody comes along and says, oh, well, I'm a woman. because I just feel like it, right? Like I'm a man, I just feel like I want to have sex with somebody else, right? And then it's like, oh, well, I'm a woman and I'm actually a man, but I don't feel that way because biology doesn't matter. The way in which biology is constructed doesn't matter. I just want to do what I want to make myself feel pleasure however I want to. Well, then it just opens up Pandora's box. You can just accept literally anything. And that's where we have gone. And people who will sit there and be like, well, okay, like I'm okay with like gay people, whatever, but like the tranny thing is like really awkward. It's like, well, if you're willing to accept that homosexuality is a natural thing and a normal thing, and it's not a choice that somebody makes, well, then you're willing to accept literally anything as being natural or normal because you've opened the box up. Biology and reality does not have any bounds on anything now. You're just accepting anything. And so when you have children involved in this, when like let's say for example, like a Dave Rubin type of an individual says like, oh, I want to adopt children. It's like you are showing this child like a non-normal, non-biological relationship that you did. You are involving your child in your own oddballness. And then you're just making that child accept the reality of, well, too bad you don't get a mom, right? It's like you have two dads. So you don't get a dad, you have two moms. It's like, wait, but that's not normal. Children need that, you know? And then on top of that, well, I'll give the explanation that I was talking about with Tammy Bruce. She went off and they were talking about this in the Congress, right? Like, accepting the whole thing of like, oh, like you're not gay by choice, you're gay by just reality. That's just the way it is. Like you're just born that way, whatever. And they were talking about it, and she was just like, "No, I'm not. I wasn't born gay. I wasn't born a lesbian," because she's an open lesbian. And she's like, "That was something that I chose to do. I chose to love this other individual." And she says, "I'm proud of that choice, and I like that choice that I made, and that's the choice that I made with my life. That's not a biological decision." She says, "That's a decision of love. That's something that I did." It's like, that's an appropriate perspective. She's accepting she's the oddball. She's accepting that this is not something of biology. This is something that she decided to do. If every single person who is a homosexual had that kind of position of like, yeah, I'm not going to force this on kids. I know this is not a biological decision. I know this is not something that's natural. I know this is something that is an odd thing in society. I'm not going to force it down everybody else's throat, but this is something that I just myself chose to do. I'm not going to encourage every single person to think this way because that's just bad and wrong. I mean, for obvious reasons. And then, of course, if you go down that route, it's like, well, then why are you that way to begin with? But we won't go there right now. But the whole that's the perspective that people need to have. But instead, what we've adopted in this country is, well, that's okay, man. Like, we don't kink shame, man, dude. Like, we don't shame you for being gay, man, whatever. It's like, well, nobody has to call you out in public, shame you, and go around like a lefty and go, shame, shame, shame. But it is odd. It is not natural. And if you
Not at all.
if you recognize that reality, well, then you don't open up Pandora's box to the point that we're going off and like just doing this with kids. We're like to the point where, I mean, again, because this is the way it always goes. It's always been like older men preying on younger men and calling it, oh, well, it's homosexual. It's fine. Like it's always been about pedophilia. Like that's the root of this. Now, other people can choose not to do those things, and if they don't, then I'm not talking about them. But the majority of this has been to get to the kids. That's what it's always been. Like the whole thing of this LGBTQ thing in the modern day, especially. I mean, you look at the history of it in the modern day. Like you look at like some of the places in Europe and then in the United States where it starts off with like they're trying to do this with kids, and they take the kids off to camps like as far back as like the 90s or the early 2000s even. Like, I mean, God, even before that probably, where they're like teaching kids like all these different sexual perversion things. It's like, oh, it's okay. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Because they're always trying to instill it in the kids because this is the way that it has always been. This is what it has always been wanting to do. And if other people decide not to do that, well, then, okay, I'm not talking about you. You are your own separate whatever, like,
Okay, so
individual.
real quick,
Because everyone is an
hit up
individual,
chat.
but,
So hit up chat real quick. So right when you started your long rant here, it says, I lost sympathy. This is Dragonman. It says, I lost sympathy when they started suing bakers. RJ says, if I joined everything expert tells me and his quest for interweb world domination, I wouldn't have time to eat or sleep. What else is he doing? What the hell? What does he want to do? He wants to run over everybody's time. Nobody gets any time but him. What's next? So then he says he loves the guy, but don't tell him. Shh. Don't tell. Let's see. RJ says nothing is ever enough for them. The classic example: give an inch, take a mile. Who you have sex with is your choice. They don't have a hear. They don't like hearing that. Yeah, exactly. They don't. Dragonman says what I like about Tammy is she's not reminding you every minute just she's a lesbian.
Oh, right, exactly, because that's just something that
Right.
she decided to do. This is not a societal push to do this. But in the grand scheme of things, if you look back and even in history, like Roman history or other different, even ancient cultures for that matter, that's always been the thing. It's like these people want you to accept their perversions. Otherwise, they'll either feel guilty about it or they won't be able to prey on the kids. And that's what
Right.
it's that's what the majority of this has always been. If you decide to do that like a Tammy Bruce type, and you're just like, this is what I want to do, this is my choice, whatever, and I'm just going to live my life this way, and I'm not going to force it down everybody's throat, and I'm not going to whatever. That's I'm not talking about you when I refer to like LGBTQ agenda thing. Like this agenda that has been pushed. I mean, for example, in the Bible, there's even a story in the book of Judges where there's a roving band of these outlaws, and they go around and they're like basically raping or having sex with both men and women. Raping, pardon me, both men and women, but in particular, they went after men.
I like how you always say it and then you say, I mean.
Well, yes, sorry, just Yeah.
No, you're fine. So then let's see here real quick. So Slade says the pleasure seeking nut jobs. Dragonman says when Liberace was alive, he knew what we knew and did not make a big deal about it. There's a lot of people that were, even like, Elton John, whatever. They don't sit there and flamboyantly tell you that they need to, be accepted to actually feel accepted.
Well, right. And then they say like marriage is a right. Marriage has never been a right. Marriage is something that has always been defined by a church or a religious institution. It's never been
Correct.
defined by a government. It was only defined by a government whenever certain governments didn't want interracial marriage to exist. And so they started licenses. But now they use that as like, oh, see, well, look at me. Like I have a license to be married. You have to accept that my marriage is true, that my way of thinking is true, that I can have sex with whoever I want. See, this is my way of forcing it on you. It's like, but that's never been the case in the United States until recent history. For
RJ says,
racial
I feel
reasons.
bad for the gay frogs that had no choice.
Yes.
And Dragonman comes back with the frogs did not have a choice.
I mean, and that's another whole thing with that, right? It's like the feminization of men and all the rest of this stuff, where it's like even they're trying to go after your own biology to try to force you down this path, the New World Order people. Like, I mean, and that's a real thing. That is a real thing. And it is pushed in everything. And there is no disconnecting the reality of putting shit in the water and in the food that destroys testosterone in the body of a male, and then at the same time pushing all of this stuff on the entire culture. It is all one movement of trying to push the feminization of men to confuse people sexually and so forth into all kinds of perversions and whatever, so that children don't get produced, and then again, like, depopulation, all the rest of it. Because, well, hey, like, we're all just gay now. It's like, well, no, if we're all gay, then we don't have children. Ah, there it is. There it is, folks. It's a depopulation agenda. But for the people on the ground, the LGBTQ people on the ground that keep forcing this themselves, right? Like, they don't know this. They're just perverts just wanting to shove perversion down everybody's throat because, well, hey, then we can, once we get everybody to accept it, then we can get away with whatever we want in society because, hey, and pretty soon it'll be graping people. It'll be like, oh, well, that's how I pleasure myself, is graping people. That's a kink I have. You need to accept it, right? I mean, there is no end to this if you open up that box of just like, well, you're just born that way, dude. Like, this is just the way I feel, man. You need to accept it. It's It's like, no.
Slade says you're wrong. Males can get pregnant now.
Go fuck yourself. But yes, that is the politically correct. Yes, that is,
Yeah. Now eventually, supposedly now they can. So, fellows, we are in the end times. Good is evil and evil is bad. Right is wrong and wrong is right.
Well, yes, but though that may be the case, we ought not to stop the moving forward of righteousness and right thought, and the appropriate way of thinking of things, you know.
Right.
I mean, even Bill Maher was talking about this, right? He's like, he brings up some of the statistics that are going on now, where he's like, it's like 1 in every 4 children in California are identifying as some sort of LGBTQ, and he's like, and he did it, and he did a whole thing about it, where it was like by the end of such and such, by the next decade or so, or the next 20 years, literally everybody's going to be gay, and then he just sits there and he's like, folks, this isn't reality. Everybody is not gay. It's like, right? But that's the way they want you to think. They just want you to open up Pandora's box to be like, oh yeah, sure, I can have sex with whoever I want. I can have sex with men one day and then sex with women the next day, or whatever, or I'm bi, or I'm trans, or I'm whatever. And it's like, if we keep doing this, there's not even going to be children born. Like, there's not even going to be society. It's just going to be, just, okay, it's sex time, people. Like, let's just haul off and do this. It's going to be literal, like, Sodom and Gomorrah. It's going to be freaking Pompeii. And did you know what they did in Pompeii, where they, that was what they did, was like they accepted this, okay, men can have sex with other men or younger. And again, it's always older men having sex with younger men. The absolute majority of the time, it's always older men trying to groom younger men into thinking that having sex with men is okay, so that they can pleasure themselves at the behest of a younger man who was brainwashed and groomed into thinking that that's something that he should accept, and that that's just fine. And that even though he may think differently, well, you're just gay now. That's the way it's always been. That's the way the majority of the time it has always been. And that's what they're pushing in the schools. And that's what they're pushing everywhere, is because that's the way that this has been in the grand scheme of history. Is it's always these perverts, it's always these maps that are trying to get you to accept that homosexuality is okay, to accept that, oh, you're bi. Oh, okay, sure, you might have a girlfriend, but like if you're a teenager, but I was like, okay, sure, you're in school, you have a girlfriend, but hey, the older man's like, but hey, you're bisexual because you want to do things with me, right? It's grooming. It's mapping. It's pedophilia, if you will. To
right.
Not to, right, and that's the way it's always been in the majority of the times when they tried to push this. That's the way it was in Pompeii. It was always these older men that would go in and they'd be like, oh, it's okay, it's fine, like I have a wife at home, but like, we'll just have sex with whoever. Like, bring out a young man, bring out a young girl, bring out a whatever. And that's the way they did it. And Pompeii was like the old version of Jeffrey Epstein's island, and then of course the volcano erupted and ended that. I think some higher power had something to do with that. But
I like Dragon Man's thing. He says, so if I bring a swimsuit issue of Sports Illustrated to work, I could get in trouble. If I tell everyone that I'm getting a sex change operation, that's acceptable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. It's so disturbing on so many levels that that's
the exception
acceptable.
Of this perversion. And of course, the reason why, and of course, all the money comes from Soros. All the money comes from these globalists to do this stuff. All the money comes from all these people and these big corporations to jam this down your throat, because they want to try to instill this in kids and get these pedo freaks to prey on kids and to try to groom kids at the lower levels in society and culture on the ground. Because at the higher levels of the globalists, they want depopulation. They want to destroy the society and culture. And they know that's what's going to do it, is to instill this in these kids' minds and to instill this into the popular culture writ large to produce depopulation as a result, and to produce a destruction of society and of morality and of all of that writ large. Because again, without family, there is no society. Like conservatives will sit here and they'll talk out one side of their mouth. Everything starts at the family. And that's the reason why black communities are going bad. And that's why this is going bad and that's going bad. But then they don't even support the idea of a family structure itself, which is father and mother coming together, having children, reproducing, and having society. That's the foundation of society. But yet they'll sit there and they'll say, oh, but it's fine. You know, like Dave Rubin can have like 5 different kids or whatever. It's like, but that's not a true family, a father, mother, family. And if you accept all of these different weirdo perversion things, then we're not going to have society at all. So if somebody wants to be the oddball and go off and do their thing by themselves, whatever, it's a free country. But for you to push this down everyone else's throat is you working on behalf of the globalists to destroy our society and our culture and to get depopulation into the society writ large, to the point that we're literally now having kids go off and they're having surgeries where they're mutilating them. Obviously, I don't want to get into too many details of that, but we know what that is.
Right.
And that's the whole point of this. But conservatives will talk out one side of their mouth, you know, like everything starts with the family, but then out the other side of their mouth, they won't defend what a family even is or what a family structure is. And if you don't have sexual reproduction, you don't have a family. That's the way it is, folks.
RJ says
which is man and woman,
in
father
this
and mother.
world, not of it. We are to stay strong and wiser than the serpent. We can't change the plan leading up to Christ's return. He says exactly, Dragon Man. You can't show the swimsuit issue, but there'd be an office viewing party for your transition video.
Well, I would like to say to RJ's comment, like, we can't change whatever. I mean, that would be like saying, you know, well, since we can't change the path of Christ's return, I mean, why do we even evangelize? Like, just let the whole world go to hell. I mean, you know, like that perspective is not a proper perspective to have. That's not a proper perspective to have. Not at all. You need to do everything in your power to combat what is evil. Because it is not up to us when Christ returns. It is up to us to do what is right in Christ's sight before he does. And if you
Slade,
don't,
I want to see that
you
video.
are neglecting your job. And you are neglecting
I want to see your
transition
video into that egg. I'm really curious.
I mean, many people have had that perspective, RJ, throughout history, where they're like, in Nero's time, when Nero was going after the Christians and burning Christians at the stake and going crazy and like everything was burning down. I mean, Nero literally lit Rome on fire and burnt the biggest city in the world at the time to the ground. I mean, people were like, well, God, must be the end times, whatever, you know, like, well, the end times is the end times. If people didn't go off and do the right thing, we wouldn't even have a church today in existence. Nobody would have salvation today. People wouldn't even be saved today. If people just gave up on Christianity and the church.
What are you missing? You missed about an hour and 45 minutes of myself before AmericaShirts finally was able to join me. And he's ranting for the last 15 minutes because he's been unable to actually rant for the first hour and 45.
Well, you know how that works.
Right. Exactly. That's what you missed. Exactly that. And we're going to go for another at least 2 minutes before we hit this next article.
But that's what I would say to RJ, is that you cannot sit there and say like, oh, well, you know, they're all just of the devil, whatever. It's like, it's not up to you when Christ returns. It is up to Christ when Christ returns. No one will know when God returns. It is up to you to preach the gospel. It is up to all of us to sustain the gospel in our own families, in our households, in society. It is our job to hold these things and to hold fast to these things. It's not up to us to decide, okay, Christ is going to return tomorrow. You know, let's just cut everything. You just cut it short. Who cares? It's like if people did that when they thought Christ was going to return, because like I said, they thought Christ was going to return hundreds of times before in the past. People debated this. Even at the founding of this country, people were like, wow, America is such a revolutionary idea. I mean, God, I mean, you know, maybe we'll only exist for so long because, you know, tyranny, you know, is so bad. But it's such a revolutionary idea for the church to be able to even exist in America. I mean, you know, people were debating back and forth whether or not God would return very soon. So what's the use to do X, Y, and Z thing? And even Thomas Jefferson himself wrote a letter to his daughter, basically saying what I said earlier. which is that it's not up to us to determine when Christ returns. It's us to be good stewards of the earth and to be stewards of the gospel and what God wants us to do. Period. So it's not up to you to determine, oh, well, this is the end times, so stop doing everything and just give up. Like, no. Like, you need to keep going because it is up to God to decide. Alan, what did you say? The only thing we did
The only thing we are told to do is plant a seed and move on. We can't save or condemn a single soul, but you can go piss in the wind all you want.
Well, no, the Great Commission is to make disciples of all nations and baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It is to get people saved, firstly, and then, comes doctrinal, comes, church establishment, so forth, the next. But evangelism is a part of Christianity. It has always been a part of Christianity. Any sect of Christianity you've looked at, evangelism is essential to Christianity, or else Christianity would not exist. I mean, think of it this way. I mean, think about when the Vikings went through the early church and burned out all kinds of stuff. I mean, for example, there's stories from Ireland, and this is documented from Ireland, when the Vikings came into Ireland. And the Vikings would come in and they would burn down the monastery and they would destroy they would try to destroy all the writings. They would try to burn everything out because, that's what the Vikings did. They just destroyed everything and took everything that they could of value. And they saw books as being
I didn't
useless.
say to stop doing a thing. Take a breath and read the word. Divinity says Mod City.
Well, okay. But just to finish my point, okay, so I won't assign this to you then. So you've made yourself clear that you don't want to stop doing things, but you just have sentiments. Okay, so I'm not addressing you when I say this then, but this is addressed then to those who would think this way. And if you do know people who do think this way, then you can address this to them then. To continue with my point, earlier on in the church's history, there have been times when, for what you were saying about your sentiments of like, you can piss in the wind if you want. I mean, God, like they were facing entire pagan hordes of people with swords and axes and shields that were literally burning them out and just destroying everything. I mean, documents and history stuff, like everything, just burning everything to the ground in Europe. They were going around to all these different places and like terrorizing everybody and going crazy. And their Viking kingdoms and whatever, and their Viking control of stuff was taking root. They were taking control. People had to pay homage to them. People had to do whatever, and so forth. And it's like, well, gee, are we facing that in our modern society to the point where it's like, every single place you go, it's like literally being burnt down? Now, you could say in places like Canada, maybe. But even then, if we stopped there, if the church stopped there, if Christianity just stopped there and everybody just was like, okay, you know what? We're just pissing in the wind at this point. There's too many pagans running around. They're carrying swords. They're going crazy. They're too strong. Oh, well, it just must be the end times or something. I don't know. We're just going to sit back and plant a seed in their mind of like, whatever. I mean, you can't do that. You can't give up. So, otherwise, we wouldn't exist.
Let's kind of move on a little bit. You're fine. You're fine. So Medic Mitchell says everyone's a mod but me. Probably. Abuse, I don't know what a mod is, because she said that she doesn't know what one is. I made her a mod.
Slate Raider. Oh wait, we'll continue. Finish the chat.
No, you're fine. Divinity says Medic Mitchell, it's a trap. Nothing ever happens when you need to.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. Slade says, AmericaShirts, could you be some kind of mystically and holy prophet?
Mystical holy
prophet. Are you a prophet?
Yeah,
Dragon Man. So. That's why I have the best co-host ever.
Oh, well, thank you, Dragon Man. He says he knows a lot. Thank you. I do put a great deal of study into a great many a thing, as I have done. I have lots of books and lots of different things because I am concerned with the truth. And sometimes when you are very concerned with the truth,
speaking of
sometimes
the truth,
books have to be read and things have to be listened to and so forth. So anyways, oh, Speaking
of
of
the
the
I left this for you.
perfect intro.
Speaking of the truth. So it says exclusive text message showed Cassidy Hutchinson referring to January 6th committee as BS.
Bullshit / horseshit.
So I'm just going to read it. So this is the January 6th committee. Key witness Cassidy Hutchinson called the committee BS in a text message obtained exclusively by the Daily Caller. In February 1, Hutchinson sent a text to conservative activists with connections with the First Amendment Fund, which is a group started by the American Conservative Union and helps Trump officials cover costs of the January 6th lawyers. Matt Schlapp and Hutchinson approached the CPAC for help through the First Amendment Fund. Schlapp said he was happy they did not end up assisting her because she was relaying White House half-white gossip as fact. In the next message, Hutchinson says, "Hey, this is Cassidy Hutchinson. Kind of a random question, but do you still work for Schlaps at the ACU?" To which the person responded, "Hi, yes." Hutchinson
Come
then
on,
said,
smart.
"Do you happen to know the
There we
First
go.
Amendment Fund POC I could reach out to? I was subpoenaed in early November, but the committee waited to serve me until last week. I had to accept service because the U.S. Marshal came to my apartment last Wednesday, but I haven't made contact with the committee. I'm just in a tight timeline and just trying to figure out what my options are to deal with this BS."
Beautiful. That's
In
exactly what
another
she sounds
text
like, by
message
the way.
reviewed by the Daily Caller, Hutchinson told the conservative activist that she does not want things to get unnecessarily elevated. Hutchinson made headlines after testifying before the J6 committee, where she claimed former Trump lunged at a steering wheel in an
How much
effort
more
to
elevated
reroute the
can
car
you
in the
get?
Capitol.
I don't want things to get elevated, but like I told the entire country on camera that the president of the United States broke through the glass and did some other crazy shit like lunging at the steering wheel and trying to grab people by the neck and crazy. I don't want to get too elevated with this though. I mean, people are really
Straight out says, "Figure out what my options are to deal with this BS."
Yeah, she's calling the committee BS, and then she
Calling
goes
the
right in
committee
front of it and
BS.
gives them a whole load of BS. It's like, huh?
I'm just like, wow! Look at those messages from Cassidy, February 1st, all the way back in February. Go figure.
So I mean, this was pretty well planned out, you could say, right? Because like she was already contacted, they were already talking about it, and so she's here and she's doing this, and obviously she's full of horseshit. None of this happened. But the interesting again thing, as we read, right, is like she calls the committee, this, like I don't know how to deal with this BS. Like she calls the committee BS, and then she's like, "Oh, okay, I'll go in front of the committee. I'm going to treat it seriously, and I'm going to sit here." It's like you've already prefaced it by saying that the whole thing is BS.
Exactly.
So, like, you're in front of the committee that is BS. The committee's purpose is to spew BS. So, guess what you're going to do? You're going to spew BS. So,
Medic Mitchell put a couple eyes on the screen because she's like, "I got to see if my wrench actually works." Yep, it's there. It's there. But yeah, I had to accept the service because the U.S. Marshals came to my apartment last Wednesday. Oh, I don't know what to do.
I guess I'll just have to come up with some horse shit story. Okay, later, Slater Raider.
Oh, good night, Slade. You have a good one.
All righty, people. He says, I am past my bedtime. I'm taking off for the night. You take care, y'all. Well, night, Slater Raider. Later, Slater Raider. I don't know why I said that way, but, I just felt like it.
I have no clue what you just said.
I hope that was entertaining.
So I seriously,
because that
there
was
was
the intention, allegedly.
one thing that I had left for an article, and this was seriously been covered, I'm sure, by quite a few people because it is a very, um, im- I really, it's disturbing on so many levels that this had to actually occur. But then at the same time, why it actually occurred. So there's a little video here.
Attempted to stop a silver Buick on East Talmadge Avenue, Thayer Street. Officers informed dispatch that the reason for the stop
Is it going to do this the whole? Why is it?
as well as an equipment violation.
It's very blurry.
The
Oh, there we
driver
go.
of the vehicle refused to stop, and officers initiated vehicle pursuit as the vehicle was nearing the East Talmadge Avenue entrance ramp.
Oh, is
to
this what's his
Bradley
face
southbound.
from? It's making the rounds now.
Approximately 40 seconds after the driver of the vehicle fled from the attempted stop.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that guy. Oh, yeah.
that guy. So hold on before we go too far. So RJ says, will Trump's third impeachment committee go all the way up to election day?
Yeah, that's what this is. That is
most
a
likely.
very appropriate way of looking at this. This is like a backhanded way to try to like impeach Trump and make him quote unquote uneligible to run for office. Yeah. Yeah, I think they will try and drag this out as
We'll find out
long
later
as they
today.
can.
We'll find out later today what actually comes up because Trump is actually supposed to come out and actually
Yes, tomorrow.
Right.
As a
Today
little birdie told
today
Roger
for some
Stone,
of us, I suppose.
and then Roger Stone told Alex Jones, and then Alex Jones talked about it on his show, which I listened to, and then I caught a wind of that, and I was like, "Ooh!" So tomorrow, if there's a Trump speech or a Trump rally, look for that. We should totally. I mean, can we cover Trump rallies still? Like, is that a thing or no?
I every time that we covered one, we've actually gotten hit for election, whatever, and then I've fought it and I've won it. So I mean, as long as we play it cool and we always say what we say, like we're not doctors, we're not lawyers,
And we love Joe Biden
we
and Hillary
don't
Clinton.
we don't believe that Trump ever won anything. Period. It was
Ever.
all legitimate. The most
I don't
legitimate
even think
president
he
ever
won.
is,
I don't even think he's
Joe
ever won a
Biden with
bet in
80
his
million votes.
any of his freaking casinos or anything. Like, it's all just fraud. Like, his whole life is fraud.
He's never won a thing.
His $1 billion is fake dollar bills. Like, it's all just fake. It's like, it's not real. He didn't win anything. He doesn't have anything.
Yes, it's his third because he's been impeached twice in the House.
Yes, this is their backhanded way to try to keep him from running for, because that's what impeachment does, right? Impeachment not only removes you from office, but it bars you from holding that office because of the impeachment trial that had to go forth. You no longer have the ability to hold office in the United States. And so if they can try to get him to not hold office, well, that's kind of a backhanded way of impeachment.
Yeah, exactly. Orange man bad.
Yes, remember, the orange man is bad. Bad orange man. Bad Cheeto dude. Bad.
Just the worst. Never seen somebody so bad.
Never stick your head in a Cheeto bag. You'll turn into that. Ugh.
So, one thing that I have to actually say tonight is nobody's actually complained about my microphone being not loud
I
enough.
know, right?
I must have fixed it. That's awesome. I'm so glad that I fixed it.
Oh, yes, Divinity. We're talking about the J6 committee, yeah, because they want to try to make Trump, try to criminalize Trump. They're trying to, get charges brought up on him from the Department of Justice so that he can't run for office because he's charged with crimes. Like, that's what we're saying. It's like, this is a backhanded way to try to do a little bit of an impeachment. And of course, like I said, impeachment is not only the removal of office, but it is also to bar you from holding office, which is what they're trying to do.
Dragon Man says I sound fine.
Oh, you sound fine. Oh, my. Oh.
What was the second one for?
Oh, the Ukraine call.
What was the first one for? Russia, Russia, Russia. That's what it was. It was Russia. It's all Russia. Good. I actually fixed it. I know what my issue was, and I'm like, oh, It's this tool called voice mod. It's the same one that like Madcore uses or whatever when he actually makes his voice change. I had already owned it and I had been using it when we first started doing this stuff, but something didn't work out right with one particular person complaining about me talking over everybody because I can hear myself. It actually helps me think about what needs to be said next because I'm listening to myself as opposed to just speaking whateverness. And that person didn't like me actually talking over everybody. And I'm like, this is the first time that I'm like, okay, I got to go back to what I was doing. And it's actually working. Thank you. First one was Russia. Russia. Because, he colluded with Russia to win the 2016 election against Hillary. That was the first one. Right? AmericaShirts?
It says, that they charged him with abuse of power and obstruction of Congress.
Right. Because of Russia. Yeah. Okay. So, and I know that there's other people that have covered this last article that we're actually, or last bit that we're talking about. So this is Jalen Walker. Jalen Walker decided to first shoot at the cops, then after being tased, continued to run and took quite a few bullets. It's somewhat disturbing. At the same time, it really needs to actually have its own light shown on it so that people actually see what actually happened. Because now people are actually up in arms and they're riding and ready to burn down Akron, Ohio. Just saying.
A sound consistent with
It's going to do the same thing right away.
officers
It's got to
notified
buffer itself
dispatch
up.
that a shot was called.
Stop it. God. Frickin' buffer.
Driver of the vehicle refused to stop, and officers initiated vehicle pursuit as the vehicle was nearing the East Talmadge Avenue entrance ramp to Route 8 southbound. Approximately 40 seconds after the driver of the vehicle fled from the attempted stop, a sound consistent with a body.
You got to be kidding me right now.
Notified dispatch that a shot was called.
Yeah, that's kind of. Oh, I'd just like to correct the record here since we were talking about it. And I'm a little wonky-ish. The first impeachment of Trump was the Ukraine phone call, da da da. Second one was the oh my God, he incited an insurrectioning, and so they had him do that. And then of course the impeachment trial in the Senate went on when Trump was out of office, which was not an impeachment trial under the Constitution. It was a bullshit trial because under the Constitution, you have to have the Supreme Court justice, you have to have the Supreme Court's Chief Justice presiding as the judge in the impeachment trial, which he did not do because Trump was out of office. So the Senate just was like, who cares? Let's just throw up our senator guy up there. We'll just do it anyway. It's like, that's not a legitimate trial. Hey, who cares? We're just going to waste taxpayers' time and money. We're just going to sit here and do this shit. And then we're going to try to charge him with this and then make the Biden DOJ enforce it. Yay! Because we're illegal criminal hacks that work for globalists. Yay. So just to clarify that.
So nothing was anything to do with Russia?
Well, the Ukraine thing, was, no, not Russia particularly. But, it's kind of thrown into the mix there a little bit with the Ukraine thing.
Let's see if...
I know, and it's hard to keep up with all this shit because it's like first impeachment was that, second impeachment was that, then now they're doing the J6 hearing. It's like, God, like I lost track. Like, what the hell? Like, you know.
I thought there was some kind of collusion of some sort, but
Collision?
The vehicle pursuit continued on the expressway for several
Russian
minutes,
collusion.
and the
Oh,
suspect
you mean that still?
vehicle
Okay,
exited
yeah.
onto the
I
Archwood
was like,
Avenue ramp.
watching it.
The pursuit proceeded through several city streets until he neared the intersection of East Wilbeth Road and Claremont Street. At that point, the driver slowed down and exited through the passenger side door of the moving vehicle wearing a ski mask. The suspect fled from the vehicle on foot, turning and facing officers momentarily.
I don't know
He
which
continued to run,
footage,
evading
which
arrest.
yeah, I know,
Officers
expert. I
attempted
was
to
watching
safely
your stuff
take the
earlier.
suspect into custody by
Okay,
I
deploying
just must
their
have the
tasers.
wrong particular video or whatever or
The
link.
deployment of tasers was unsuccessful, and the suspect continued to flee on foot. As the foot chase reached the nearby parking lot, the suspect stopped and quickly turned towards the pursuing officers. Officers reacted by discharging their firearms, striking the suspect. Under visual inspection of the suspect's vehicle, a handgun, a loaded magazine for a handgun, and what appears to be a gold wedding ring were observed in plain view on the driver's seat.
I see how you are, Divinity.
We will now show you the.
Yes, and that's where the other video actually kind of picked up or whatever. Was
Yeah, so basically he pulls the gun, he fires at the cops and then runs, right?
Holy crap. How many shots were fired?
Holy shit.
60 to 80? Apparently there was 8 officers that are released from their duties immediately. Very disturbing. And it's going to cause havoc. They're seriously going to go and destroy Akron.
Well, and see, we knew that they were going to do something. I was talking about this the other day in some of these streams. I mean, you know they're going to pull something. It's the Roe v. Wade stuff. It's this. They're going to combine it. They're going to do something. This is going to be the liberal summer of rage because this is an election season. And then, of course, you have the Mookie Pox, and that's going to come along. The old Bill Gates machines stutter.
It's just not
Steve
buffering.
Jobs invention has no stutter.
The particular article that I have pulled up is stuttering for whatever reason. It's not stuttering. It's just not buffering.
Well, you know, I may have
For
had
whatever reason. So,
a lot
just a
of things
stupid
to
article.
do with that because, well, it's not exactly like I want to make your life easier because I actually kind of want you to die, but you know, and then I could take everything of yours and own it all myself. But
right, it said 60 perforations on the perpetrator, but yeah, 60 to 80 bullets were actually released, and that's why you hear so many.
That's insane.
8 officers were.
And then you hear the one officer like, "Okay, ceasefire." It's like, yeah, no shit. Like you all just freaking how much ammo was used? Like, God, like, how many people were firing? Like, you only need one.
Right. You only needed one person to
For
actually
God's
take them,
sake.
whatever. Not all 8 of you needed to release bullets at the same time. That was a little overdone.
Oh my God, yes. But at the same
Now
time,
at this
they're going to
right,
overblow this and blame all cops and blame America and blame white people and
right.
like they
See, now the
always
other
do
side
to
of it
burn the
though
whole damn place to the
is
ground.
dude was chasing away in his car. When finally stopped, they tried to taser him, and he continued. As he continued after being tased and running with a black mask on, they shot him down.
So he was shooting at police and then was
He
in his
shot at
car
him
and
first.
ran. So he was in his car. He shot at police, then he left, and then they chased him.
In some sort of form of way, yes.
Okay, somehow.
There was some altercation where he actually chased. He shot back. He shot first, or whatever, and then when he left the car on foot running, they took him out. They're like, "No, you're done."
Because I mean, like they had pulled up behind him.
They
So
have
was this
no clue,
before?
being that he had already shot once. They had no clue that he didn't have the gun in his possession, that it was left in the car. You're going to take your time and you're going to go look in the car. No, you're going to go after the guy that just shot at you.
Oh yeah, and it does look like he tried to suicide himself because again, like the wedding ring was there, and Jack Pacific was talking about on Twitter that his wife had died a month before, and so this looks like something where he's just like completely gone off the deep end.
Right.
So
very sad, disturbing on all
yes,
sides.
it
of
is.
that.
But
It just,
they are going to blow. They are going to try to blow this up. They'll probably bring up one or two others
yeah.
like this, and I mean,
like Divinity
mistakes
said,
happen all the
within the
time.
next
Some of
3
it's on
to 6
video, some of
months,
it's not.
something
But,
else will happen. Right.
well, yeah.
Right.
And I mean, like things like this happen similar to this a lot of times, in places, and you never really hear about it. I mean, just like there was like a freaking dude in DC like a month or so ago that was just ad nauseum on a weekend, just like was at a sniper's post, just shooting people. And he killed several people. And it's like, you never hear about that. But you only hear about the things that the mainstream media wants you to hear about to stir up race riots and do the globalist bidding, which is to help to try and bring down and burn down and destroy America.
Nice, Divinity. Nice. The friend is playing her video.
If it was 80 shots and 60 hits, the Akron police have some of the best firearms training in the country, says expert. Oh, well, yeah. Holy crap, yeah. If that's true. I don't know if that's true, but yeah.
I mean, not doing the math, kind of whatever. Say there's 8 cops. They each had 10 bullets. They each hit 6 and missed 2. I mean,
right. But I think
that's
I think
ridiculous.
most people have heard about all the aspects of it. But I think the big thing that we could hit on for those who have listened to this story and have listened to it in other places and are kind of disgusted by it all, the point being is that this is being brought up because they want to start race riots. They want to start this shit that they did in 2020 all over again because this is election season, and this is what the globalists will use to try and stir the shit in the United States to try to get their lovely globalist hackies elected in November and not get good based populist conservatives in office to do the right thing for this country and impeach the hell out of Joe Biden and all of his administration, because that's what they need. They are intentionally, purposefully destroying this country and its entire infrastructure, leaving the country to ruin, leaving the country purposefully, intentionally making the entire economy and everything take an entire nosedive on purpose, intentionally doing it. And it's all on record. It's all on paper. It's a thing that most people see and can unite upon. Just the border itself, and the thing that with the border and the open border itself is enough to start a discussion on it and to get it going. And so, that's what I would say in response to this as well, is that, this is what they're trying to push so that we don't get things like that done. But we need to start that kind of thing now, even with the people that we have now in the Republican Party.
There's
So
a
anyway.
person that has joined our chats in the recent few days. And when I say our chats, I'm not talking just my own. I'm talking experts as well. I've seen this person show up. Um, Apparently, they have their own channel. I am subscriber number 9, and everybody should actually check them out. Asshat. So
Oh my
Asshat goes
god.
and covers. You should subscribe to him. Absolutely subscribe to him. Come
Oh
on,
my
everybody.
god.
We all like Asshat. We all think he's funny, and he's great content. He's gonna be something.
Oh
I'm
my
telling
god.
you.
Koolfrogg, this is a song. I mean,
It is a song, but it's at the very end of the show, so if it takes the song out, it's fine. July 1st, this asshat who was booed off the stage while spewing vile rhetoric in the Somali Independence Day celebration in Minneapolis.
Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, please. No, please.
RJ says Asshat is his favorite of mine.
Yeah, he's fun.
Calm me down.
Again, everybody go subscribe to Asshat. Deserves it.
Good things really do come true.
Don't be an ass. That's funny. Again, go subscribe to Asshat.
That's funny. RJ says the SCOTUS Roe v. Wade opinion didn't pan out like they had planned, so they have to try the next. So they have to wait. So on.
So it's on to the next.
Yeah, yeah, there it is. So on to the next one. Yep. But I think they will still try to incorporate the Roe v. Wade thing. But as you just mentioned, though, it's not. It's exactly panning out in the numbers in which they had wanted. So again, as you said correctly, on to the next thing. Got to keep it going.
Got to keep on pushing narrative. Oh, we're not going to stick around very much longer, Dragon Man. You enjoy your sleep for the night. Everybody should subscribe to everybody. Seriously, don't be picky on who you're subscribing to. Who cares what their actual content is about? Who cares? Well, if you're concerned about what their content is about before you go and subscribe to them, I really don't think that you deserve to have a channel. I really don't. Personally, that's just my personal issue with that. I don't know. I don't care. I just wish that everybody would subscribe to everybody. We all have stuff that we like to do. We all enjoy it. We all enjoy trying to, whether we're helping somebody else with something or doing our own thing, whatever. Support everybody.
Well, yeah, like some people don't necessarily want to be like super big, but it's always nice to have some people watch what you put out for fun. If you just want to put that stuff out for fun, some people want to do that, right? I mean,
That's
it's just
exactly why we're
have
here.
that perspective. You know?
It's exactly why we're here. You and me have both said since the very beginning, I don't care how many subscribers I have, as long as I'm able to actually be on a platform and actually produce something, it's for me to actually produce and actually have fun with. Please support everybody. Don't just be nitpicky and be like, well, I don't really like this guy because he has a strange opinion. Click, I'm done. Fine. If that's what you feel, that's great. Do you. Not
Yeah,
telling you to do anything
you
that you don't
do
want to,
you. That's
but
fine. That's
telling you right now that everybody
fine.
deserves to have subscribers and everybody has should have a following of sorts. Sub to everybody.
You
Love
don't
everybody as you
love
wish to be loved.
me.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm done.
Exactly. Did you have anything else you'd like to share before we snag out of here for the night?
Uh, oh, there was
RJ
a
says,
couple of.
please don't sub to me.
uh, there is one thing that Trump in several polls uh beat out DeSantis by a lot. A lot of people have been talking about, like, oh, DeSantis is like, well, Trump is still much more popular than DeSantis across the country writ large. I know in some conservative circles, in more populist circles, perhaps DeSantis is a little bit up over Trump sometimes, but the absolute majority of America still uh, is behind Donald Trump. That's independents, Republicans, the works. They all still want, and I imagine there's going to be a lot of Democrats, since we were talking about religious things before, like, we might
RJ
proselytize
says,
a lot of
RJ
Democrats.
says, please don't sub to me. This man's got 97 subscribers and absolutely no content.
It's
That's what I
amazing.
call success.
I know,
That's
right?
fun. Oh, that's awesome. All right, everybody. Again, love everybody the way you wish to be loved. Quit treating people with disrespect because you just don't like their content or
Oh,
their
wait a minute.
political views.
Hold up. Here's an
Uh-oh.
article. It says Trump responds to New York Times report claiming he'll announce 2024 run early. I didn't even see this. He says he's responded to the story. Says, let's see. Actually doing better than ever, breaking all records. We're dealing with very sick, bad, fake news people. Also beating everybody in the polls by really big. Uh, says he might declare his candidacy on social media without warning, even to his own team. As for the announcement, as early as this month, is what the report says. And then, where's his response? I don't see his response. Where's his quotes? Where's his response? Oh, it says in a post on his Truth Social platform, Trump called the report fake news, though he did not elaborate. It says 12 wins and 0 losses this week. Mary Miller won against all odds. 33-0 in Texas. 132-7 this cycle. There has never been anything like our endorsement. So he's talking about the congressional candidates, I think Senate candidates, primaries, and normal elections, general ones. And the fake news, New York Times, still writes that I may announce this early presidential run because I haven't done well with my endorsements. Trump fired back at the New York Times Saturday morning in his Truth Social post. Actually, we're doing better than ever, breaking all records. We're dealing with very sick, bad people in fake news media, also beating everybody in the polls by really big record type numbers. So this piece is saying that he's going to endorse early because he's losing in polls and his endorsements aren't winning, when the opposite of reality is true. So he may still go for it on the 4th tomorrow. But because of this Times piece, maybe not. Maybe it'll be reactionary and he won't do it. I don't know. But that was what the little birdie was floating around in some circles of the populist sort of conservative MAGA crowd there earlier this week. And so perhaps because of this Times piece, maybe they will have thwarted that. Maybe he'll go ahead with it and just say, F you all, your fake news. I'm doing this because of X, Y, and Z thing. Not entirely sure. It's all up to him whenever he decides he's going to do that. But that was what the word was earlier this week. So we shall still yet see. He did not say he wouldn't do it. He just said that New York Times is fake news, that he's losing, he's winning. So, we will see. So anyways, I just saw that. Thought I'd throw that out there for those who are still. No problem, folks. Just doing push-ups on the water.
All right. You good?
Yep. Think so.
Love everybody.
Later, peeps.
Have a good day. Later.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.